Starlink, Starlink, Starlink. All everybody talks about is Starlink. We have decided it's time to try to get on the bandwagon with Starlink. So we have ordered a Starlink. We have one here in the camper, and this week we're going to set it up. Just about 2 years ago, we got a mobile hotspot from T-Mobile. One of our friends, Chris, said this was something that he uses and he had success with it. So we've used the T-Mobile hotspot on and off for about 2 years. We've had a mixed level of success with it. We also, from our cell phones, we have a hotspot that we can use. So far, our experience has primarily been that when we have a AT&T signal, we also have a T-Mobile signal. When we have a T-Mobile signal, we also have an AT&T. So what this has bought us is an extra level of connectivity, I suppose. This gives us 100 gig a month for about $86. Cell phones, we get about 80 gig a month, theoretically unlimited, for about $65. So I can recall one spot in White River where we had no AT&T signal, but we did have a T-Mobile signal. Our travels primarily have been the central U.S., so Colorado west in the past 2 years, so we really didn't experience the T-Mobile hotspot on the eastern part of the U.S., so that may have made a difference. But for us, a deciding factor was really our trip to Alaska last year. We had pretty good AT&T coverage as long as we stayed pretty close to the main highways. We had a tiny little bit of T-Mobile coverage. The T-Mobile map for Alaska showed that we had coverage up there, but when we got up there, what we found was we actually had roaming coverage. So that gave us 10 gig, and then we were done. So for us wanting to travel and work in Alaska and Canada, this truly turned out to be ineffective. So what we're going to try this year as we're headed to Alaska is we're going to try Starlink, and we're going to see if we have better connectivity with Starlink and that will allow us to work theoretically in more remote places. Starlink comes at a risk to us. This is a $600 risk. If it works, life is good. If it doesn't work, we're out 600 clams. I looked at switching and adding another plan with Verizon, which has very good coverage in Alaska, but to buy another brick like this, we're going to be out about $250, and then we're signing up for a 2-year plan. So $600 T-Mobile, we can go month to month. If it doesn't work, we can simply turn it off and we don't have to continue to pay. It is more expensive. We're going to get an RV plan. RV plan with Starlink is $120 a month. So we're about to pay for our connectivity, but it might be better than paying for connectivity that simply doesn't work. But this week, we're going to go ahead and set it up. So let's do it now. Okay, maybe a little bigger than I was thinking. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
You have not sold me on it.
Okay.
It's ginormous.
What do we got? We've got... Okay, there's our power. This must be our, this is our router. This is our 50 feet or 75 feet of cable to run it out. This is our power connection. Okay, looks like I need to start by downloading an app. I tried setting it up here on the picnic table, and then it makes me look and see what the satellite reception is. So for this spot, it's telling me for streaming video, we'll have some interruption, web browsing, some interruption, video calls, some interruption, and for online gaming, frequent interruptions. Well, we don't do online gaming, so we're okay for that. I'm going to try moving it in front of the truck though. So let's try that and then we'll see what it looks like. So once I've got it moved, now it tells me to try again. So I'm supposed to scan the entire sky. Just kind of, I think it shows me, you probably can't see it, it shows me like green dots. I think the green dots are actually the satellites. Anyway, 70% scan, 80%, 90%, 95, who am I missing? 98, 99. There we go. View results. So it's calculating. Da, 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 da. I guess we might have to do this every time we go to use it, since we're going to be moving all the time. Survey says. Oh, this time it's all green for everybody. So last time we had some yellows and some red for online gaming.
Maybe take a screenshot and post a screenshot.
Now everything is green. So I'm going to say set up here. Okay, cool. Here's the configuration we've kind of ended up on. So we've tucked everything underneath our table here. So if you look, we've mounted wireless routers up here. I put this up with like double-sided Velcro tape. That was left over from our cabinet project. Down here we've got the power supply. Power supply is plugged into our little extension box down here. And this is connected to our inverter. So as wacky as it sounds, the only way to turn the Starlink on or off is by pulling the power plug, which is weird to me, particularly for an RV application, which this is. I don't want to use power 7x24. So we've really tied it to our inverter. So when we turn on our inverter, Starlink comes on. When we use the inverter and we don't need the Starlink, I'm just coming down here and unplugging it. But it's fairly well tucked away. I don't mind it so much. This is pretty easy. Our cable is running from here and then right out our back door. So we'll show you what it looks like outside here. We kind of recognized from really editing the video today is we did a complete setup when we first bought the Starlink, but it's been about a month and a half we've been using it, so we're a little quicker. So we're just going to time ourselves. We'll do a complete startup from start to finish and show you how long it takes.
So when we're traveling, we keep the Starlink on the bed while we're driving. Pushed it up farther so it doesn't fall down, and so far, even in the back roads of Alaska and the Yukon Territory in Canada, it hasn't moved around much. So I take it down, hand it to Steve.
I'm going to set, just starting, a timer, and we're going to see how long does it actually take us to get this completely set up and running. So I'm just going to set it right there. Here we go. We were setting this on the ground. So we just set it on the ground and then lean it like this. But we noticed one day we've got bite marks. So based on bite marks, now I set it up on top of the truck hood. We want to have a general idea which way is north. I think north is this way. So put it up there, we aim it to north. Then I'm going to check. I've got a little, on my phone, I've got a little compass. It'll tell me, am I really aimed north? So my compass says north is a little that way. So I'm just going to move. A little bit like that. Cool. Now I'm going to open the Starlink app and I will check for obstructions. So obstructions, minute open area. Now I'm just going to aim it up at the sky and slowly spin in a circle. blinding myself while I'm going. And there we go. We're just scanning the sky to make sure, like, do we have trees right behind us? Whatever. So I did obstruction test. Now, since I've got it aimed the right way now, I'm going to turn the inverter back on. So the inverter will give us power to the Starlink. So the inverter is powering the Starlink, and now it'll start to do alignment checks to tell us, do we have the Starlink aimed in the correct direction? It takes a few minutes. It only took it a moment or two, and now it's telling us as far as the placement, the angling is correct as far as I'll put this up so you can see it on the screen too. So we're almost just dead on as far as the direction we want the Starlink to be aimed. What it is telling us, the tilt is incorrect. Tilt's incorrect probably because I have it sitting on top of the hood of the truck. It has like a slight slant. So I suppose if I wanted to, I could turn off or collapse the little folding arm, but I don't really care that much. So it tells us now we are online. So let's do a speed test. So speed test, we're clocking in right now, right about 100 meg per second download, and upload's probably going to be 10 or 15 meg per second. So that's it. So total time, so we're working now. Let's go back to our clock and see how long it took us from start to finish. We are at 7 minutes, 51 seconds.
Still going.
Yeah. So 8 minutes start to finish. Not bad. It's taken us longer to do setups when we've had more of an obstructed view of the sky. Here we don't have any obstruction at all. So that's about it. Usually it's...
Except those outhouses.
What about the outhouses?
That's the obstruction.
Oh, yeah. So pretty quick. Download speeds are fine for the work that we're doing. I guess the big question, as of like a month ago when we tried this out, Noelle said she was not sold.
I'm sold. And here's why. In the location we are right now, which is, I don't know exactly, but maybe we are about 50 miles north of Fairbanks, Alaska, at a trailhead that we saw in the milepost book. And people come here to use the outhouses and go for hikes, but otherwise there's no cell reception. Obviously there's no electricity, so we're just using solar. And I've been sitting and working for a few hours now, so it's a win for me. And I can text with my sisters and kids and grands and not have to worry about cell service. So that's a win also.
The specifications from Starlink indicate a power consumption of approximately 75 to 100 watts. What we found is that when we initially turn on the Starlink, there's a spike in the energy consumption as the Starlink starts its initialization process. Usually we see the power consumption of around 100 watts for the first 10 or 15 minutes when we turn on the Starlink. It seems like after the first 10 or 15 minutes, power consumption goes down. Then we're averaging for us somewhere between 57 to 75 watts. So we do see a lot less energy consumption after everything is initialized and up and running. We've only operated the Starlink once so far in snowy conditions. And to be honest, my goal was to get the Starlink cleaned off and put away. And I wasn't really thinking like, how much energy am I consuming? Because what we found was that the Starlink actually has an automatic snow melting configuration. So in the software, you can actually set it up to automatically detect is there snow, is there ice, and then a heating element will come on and melt the snow and ice. Seems to me like the numbers I'm reading, it'll melt automatically between 1.5 inches and 3 inches of snow per hour automatically. But, you know, the downside to that is if you're creating heat, it takes energy to do that. So there's going to be a spike. In our solar configuration, we have 300 watts of solar and 294 amp hours of battery. With this hardware configuration, we've found we have enough power right now to run the Starlink for 6 to 8 hours a day. Our laptops, both of them, 6 to 8 hours per day. A CPAP and refrigerator, maybe an hour of television a day. These are ideal conditions though right now. We are in Alaska, and quite frankly, we have 24 hours of sunlight a day. We don't see that we're charging 24 hours a day. Somewhere our charging, side topic, where charging is like decreasing somewhere around midnight to 3 a.m. While there's still sunlight, there's not an actual enough sunlight for it to charge your batteries. But somewhere around 3 a.m., we start charging again. So this is ideal right now. We understand that. Maybe the real question for us going down the road is how do we handle like trying to juggle all of this when we have a lot less sunshine per day. But for now, it's working.
Thanks for watching. We do appreciate it. And if you do us a solid, give us a thumbs up, a like, drop us a comment down below, throw us a super thanks. That'd be awesome. You'll buy us a gallon of diesel in the truck. That's awesome. And keep watching next week. I almost said keep coming back, but that's a little too AA-like. So keep on keeping on.
With power consumption being a key consideration for when we have less sunshine or when we're traveling down the road, next week we're going to install a DC to DC charger and take you along for the journey.
What else am I supposed to say? Starlink, okay. You can cut off.